Happy Pride Month, my acquaintances. I have talked about the queer subtext in DCLA shows. I have talked about my favorite non-canon ships in DCLA shows. I have talked about my favorite queer ships in DCLA shows. And now it's time for me to make a video about my sexuality headcanons in DCLA shows. The thing is, my sexuality headcanons changes basically every year. But I thought it could be fun to at least make a video about it, and then if I changed my mind, then, well, I'm going to make an updated version of my sexuality headcanons. There won't be much visuals in this video, just a speed paint in the background. So this video is basically more for listening than viewing. The way I'm going to present it is that I'm going to have one Violetta character, then one Soy Luna character, and then one Bea character, and then do it all over again. One Violetta character, one Soy Luna character, one Bea character. I won't present every single character, especially if it's a small character, or if it's a character that I literally have nothing to say about. For example, I will skip a lot of adults. For example, I'm going to skip Luna's parents and also Bea's parents, and actually a lot of the parents in Bea too, simply because I don't have much headcanons about them in general, so I really have nothing to add. And sometimes there's a chance that I legit just forget a character, because it's so many characters and I always manage to forget at least one. But I will try not to. My sexuality headcanon stems from different things depending on the character. For some, I think that there's evidence in the subtext, whether or not it's intended. Other times it's literally because of vibes. And it's not always that my sexuality headcanons have something to do with who I ship the character with, because some characters, for example, I enjoy their canon ships but still headcanon them as gay. As weird as that may sound. Sometimes I literally have no ship that I ship the character with, I just have the sexuality headcanon for them anyway. Also, you are completely free to agree or disagree with me, but if you feel for some reason offended that I have a specific sexuality headcanon for a character, ask yourself why you feel offended and why you think my headcanon in any way affects the show, because it literally doesn't. It's a headcanon, not canon. Now, let's start. I'm going to start with the three main characters. I'm going to talk about Violetta, Luna, and Bea. Let's start with Violetta. I have pretty much always headcanoned her as bisexual, and that has never really changed. Okay, not always. I mean, when I was little, I didn't have any headcanon whatsoever. But once I started to get into fandoms and learn what headcanons were, and learn what sexuality headcanons were, I just felt like she was bisexual, and I have thought this even before I shipped her with any girl. Back when I only shipped her with Leon, I still thought that she might be bisexual. When she moves back to Buenos Aires, she discovers that both boys and girls exist, and she gets all flustered. And I am in the argument that whoever would have saved her episode 1 when she slipped, if it was a girl that saved her and not Thomas, she would have fallen in love with that girl. And yeah, this is my argument that she only fell in love with Thomas because he was the first boy she met in her life, basically. But had a girl saved her that day, then Violetta would be all head over heels for that girl. Moving forward to Luna, and Luna is a special case because for a lot of time I thought of her as pansexual, mostly because she was always dressed in the pansexual colors in season 1 especially. Also, the Luna logo is also in the pansexual colors, the whole show is very pansexual. But after a while, I started to realize that Luna is not really interested in romance in that way. She's not as interested in talking about boys as her friends are. And honestly, the only time she really talks about romance is when her friends prompt her to. And that made me get into the headcanon that perhaps she is asexual. And then I have this idea that she is asexual but pan-romantic, because I still had like the pansexual headcanons left. And I do think she might be like pan-romantic asexual, but recently I have also kind of been intrigued by the idea that she might be a full lesbian. And here's the thing with that. Once again, she is never really shown to have an interest in a boy unless someone prompts her to like talk about it. And now I know that some of you are like, hey, she does like boys. I have seen the show. Calm down. There's a lot of things in canon that would contradict the lesbian Luna theory, but you could contradict it with every single headcanon about people being gay, because every single character ends up with the opposite gender. So technically you could say that no one is gay, because they like the opposite gender in the show, that means that everyone is straight. And that's not true. And I will talk about that more later. But I really think that with lesbian Luna, I just like the concept more because, well, I always feel like with every single boyfriend that Luna has in the show, both with Simón and also with Matteo, that they feel stronger romantic feelings than what she does. And eventually it turns out that she's either asexual or a lesbian, maybe, or both. But yeah, I'm a little back and forth with this right now. I think for the moment I am still going to say pan-romantic asexual, simply because I haven't let myself fully go over to lesbian Luna headcanon territory, but maybe next year I have fully gone over. Now let's go to Bia, and I am going to keep it straight. I think Bia is straight. Yeah, not every character on this list will be in the LGBTQ community. Some characters I think are straight, and I'm going to say that Bia is the token straight of her own show. And I mean, good for her. Moving on back to another Violetta character, we're going to talk about Leon. I think Leon is also bisexual. He and Violetta is a bisexual power couple. And just like with Violetta, I have pretty much, ever since I have first started to have sexuality headcanons, I have just felt that Leon also is bisexual. And with him, it mostly also started with the tension he had with Diego. Like, once I saw their tension, I was like, oh yeah, this is a bi man. Moving on to Matteo in Luna. I wish I could call Matteo a boring, straight, cishet man, but unfortunately his fruity vibes are just off the charts. This man is so goddamn fruity that he cannot be straight under any circumstances. Yeah, I think Matteo might be bisexual too. He is shipped with way too many men to be straight. Manuel in Bia I also think is straight. But he's an ally. He and Bia are allies to their friends. Then we have Francesca in Violetta, also bisexual. I have a lot of bisexual headcanons with Violetta characters specifically. And a lot of people agree that Francesca is bisexual. Many people say that they think that she's bisexual with a preference for men. And I can see that. However, I am also the biggest Violetta shipper, and that needs to be mentioned here. And Francesca is another character I also have always seen as bisexual. And it really increased when I started to ship her and Violetta together. If Luna is the pansexual show, Violetta is the bisexual show. Everyone in that school is just so bisexual, and they go around and do bisexual things and have bisexual vibes. Moving on. I really need to talk about Nina in Luna, because Nina, for some reason, is the character that I constantly change my headcanon on. I literally cannot figure this girl out. For whatever reason, the first 3 episodes I watched of the show, I thought that Nina was a lesbian. And the reason I headcanoned her as a lesbian for the first 3 episodes was because I liked this concept of like overprotective parents that does not really know their daughter even though they think they do, and she actually like has this huge secret from them that they don't know, and that the secret is that she's a lesbian. And then when I watched more than 3 episodes, I noticed that, okay, so then I was like, okay, maybe she's bisexual, or maybe she's like biromantic asexual. And I don't remember why I thought she was asexual, because if you watch the show, she definitely does not really give asexual vibes, but I thought so for a while. But the thing is, then I sort of got like convinced by everyone else in the fandom that she was straight, because in the DCLA fandom, it's a large fandom in one way, but also a small fandom in another way, and it's really easy to influence each other, especially regarding headcanons. So it's very easy to just convert someone to have a headcanon. And a lot of people thought of Nina as the token straight, so I was like, I guess you're right. But the thing with that, Nina keeps saying this out of context queer stuff. Like, boys aren't a part of my dictionary. Studies have shown that best friends can fall in love with each other. That's my 200 examples right now, but she definitely has more, especially in season 1. And I felt after a while that she makes a lot of like queer comments for being straight, and I think that I am going to go out of the fandom norm and say that no, I don't think she's the token straight. I do think that she might be queer, but I am not sure, like, a specific label. I don't know if I have a specific label for her. So I'm just going to say that she's just sapphic for the moment. Nina is just sapphic. Maybe she doesn't really know herself. Maybe she's trying to figure it out. And yeah, I wish her luck. Next BA character I can talk about is Celeste. Celeste is a lesbian, which the subtext of the show shows to us. When I first watched season 1 the first time, I thought that every single character was straight. And when I said this, the people in the fandom were like, but what about Celeste? And I was like, what do you mean, what about Celeste? And then the second season 2 hit, she forgot all about any boy she was interested in, and she got so obsessed over a female podcaster that she kind of had a crush on. And I have sort of a feeling that if the show had a season 3, then maybe she would be allowed to actually be sapphic, at least in hints. Next character I want to talk about is the Violetta character, so we're going back there. Camila is an enigma. But I think that she's just queer. She doesn't really want a label, she just wants to be free. She just wants to love whoever she wants to love without anyone trying to label her over it. No etiquettes, just vibes. I also, by the way, have a headcanon that Camila later, when she has a child, decides to raise the child non-binary just because she doesn't want to assign a gender to her child. Next Soiluna character, Simón. Simón is bisexual. God damn it, he's so bisexual. If you think about a bisexual man, you see Simón. That's it, that's all I'm going to say. Next we have Chiara from Bia. I think pansexual, maybe. I feel like she is not straight and she has not really realized it just yet. But like, if she just gets a little push, she will definitely realize it. Next up we have Ludmila in Violetta. She's a lesbian. Honestly, ever since I saw the CS Por Amor performance, I always had a feeling, even before I really knew the labels, that Ludmila wasn't really straight. The CS Por Amor music video is just something about it that really isn't straight at all. And it's not that she's in love with Violetta, because even though that was something I thought when I was younger, I have later seen it more as Violetta representing the part of Ludmila that wants to come out and like tells her in her face that you can't hide who you are, I know who you are, and I'm going to tell everyone. While Ludmila keeps running away from the part of her that wants to come out. It's also the way she acts around Federico is a bit strange, considering she did not even seem to care about him at all in season 1, and then the second he comes to season 2, she's very dramatically head over heels for him. And I have never really been able to take it seriously, I'm sorry. I don't dislike them together, like they have pretty funny scenes together, especially in season 3 when they live in the same house. So they have like this bunch of random tension together. But I have not really felt like, oh my god, I ship them. I have more felt like they are a funny pairing. That's more how I feel about it. Also, with Ludmila's relationship with Priscilla, I just really felt vibes of like this disapproving mother that doesn't want her daughter to be strange, aka not straight, because what would people think? But we can talk about Priscilla later, because I have I have some comments about that. Next up, we have Ámbar in Soluna, and Ámbar sure is interesting. She's so complicated, and it's so fun to speculate about everything about her. And I think that she is bisexual. But if it wasn't for Simón, if it wasn't because I feel the strong tension between her and Simón, I would have thought that she was a lesbian, because I basically thought that she was a lesbian until season 2 when she started dating Simón. I was like, okay, I feel their tension. Their tension is too high. She definitely is into him. Emphasis on into him. Ámbar does not know how to speak to people normally, because she always puts on an act when she speaks to people, and it's so fucking funny. She is bisexual in the weirdest way possible. You're not sure if she sometimes is flirting with people or threatening them or just trying to have a conversation and just being super weird about it. Also, she and Emilia definitely hooked up in the show. Next up is Alex in Bia. I think he's straight, and I feel like he's kind of this guy that he knows that gay people exist, but he's kind of also like thinking that everyone in the LGBTQ community is gay. So if someone would say that they're bisexual, he would automatically assume that they're gay. And while I think he's pretty uneducated on the subject, not that he's like homophobic, I absolutely don't think he's homophobic. I just think that he's straight and very clueless about that sort of things. Next up is Diego in Violetta. Diego is such a bisexual. He flirts with every single person. I feel like he and Marco may have had a one-night stand at some point. He charms women, he charms men. No one is safe from Diego's charm, whether they like it or not. It is time for Jim, my girl. I thought that she was a lesbian from the moment I saw her. Everything about her is such a lesbian who has not realized she's a lesbian just yet. She goes through so much compet in the series. And then finally in season 3, she's completely quote-unquote single. So she can quote-unquote finally realize that she's a lesbian and quote-unquote finally get together with her girlfriend. Literally, if you look up compet, Jim will be there. What's more lesbian than having a masculine sounding nickname? I so believe that when Jim's girlfriend goes out and tells everyone that my significant other is named Jim, everyone's like, oh, it's her boyfriend. And then Jim shows up and is like, hi, I'm her significant other, I'm a girl. I am 100% sure that they have done that prank so many times. Going over to the Bia character, we're talking about Pixie. Pixie, I am not sure if she's a lesbian or demisexual, or both. Maybe she's demisexual but a lesbian, because the way this girl has fallen head over heels for Bia. She is in an unlucky situation because Bia is straight. She fell for the straight girl, but yeah, in the beginning of the show, yeah. But I also don't hate her with Luan. But I have also said that even though I like them with their canon endgame, I still think that they're gay, and I think Pixie might be one of those characters. Next up, let's talk about Naty and Violetta. She is such a lesbian, and for a long while I was kind of like, but well, I do like her with Maxi, so maybe she's bisexual. But then I also felt like, no, you know what? Her intense crush on Ludmila is so much bigger than any scene she ever had with Maxi. I also think that she and Maxi might be beards for each other, but let's talk about that when we come to Maxi. Lesbian Naty is in my heart. Now let's talk about Jamila, my girl. You all know that I think she's a lesbian. Of course, there's not so much more to say than I have a 2-hour video if you want to see me dissect when and how she realized that she was a lesbian. And yeah, all I'm going to say right now is that I feel like everyone in the show is constantly telling her that she basically needs to be straight. Basically because one guy likes her, so she obviously must like him back. And of course, Jam also does this with other people. But maybe she does this with other people because they do that to her. Have you thought about that? And I'm glad she got the lesbian ending she deserved because she ended up quote-unquote single. So that means that she, quote-unquote, is not single and is dating Jim, her girlfriend. And I love it so much. Next Bia character is Daisy, and Daisy is a hard one. I think that she might be maybe bisexual, but she has a bigger preference for men. I think that it's more so that she's open to eventually date a girl if she happens to find a girl that she likes, you know. Now let's talk about Maxi in Violetta. I think it's hard for me to decide if I think that he's bisexual or gay. Because the actor himself wanted Maxi to be gay. He said so in an Instagram, ask me anything. But like, also he might be bisexual. But either way, I think that him and Naty might be beards for each other. Now let's talk about Ramiro in Soluna. Ramiro is such an enigma. I cannot figure this man out. Is he gay? Is he bisexual? Is he a very flamboyant straight man? All I know is that he is very fruity. He is part of the fruity trio together with Jim and Jam, but he is very much third-wheeling them. He also seems to have vibes with every boy that he talks to. Next up is Pietro in Bia. I think that he might not be straight, but I cannot figure out what sexuality he might be otherwise. I feel like he might have not really reflected on it too much, so like he can't really say for himself what he identifies as, but I also think that if something happens, it happens. Let's go to Andrés. Andrés is just like Maxi. I cannot figure out if he's gay and just think that he likes girls or if he's just a big disaster bisexual. Sometimes I'm leaning more towards gay and sometimes I'm leaning more to bisexual, and I'm going back and forth with that. Nonetheless, I think that he might need a talk about girls not only being the only option for him. Like, he can, if he wants, have a crush on some boys. he might not know that he can do that, you know. Next up, Gastón in Soy Luna. I think he's bisexual and I don't have more to say about that. Over in Bia, Carmín, I think she thinks that she's straight, but that's only because she denies her feelings for Mora. So she just has a lot to figure out about herself. But for now, I'm just going to say that she's sapphic. Broduey in Violetta is the token straight. And I have nothing to add about that. Next up in Soy Luna, I want to talk about Jazmin. I feel like Jazmin is sapphic but does not really know it. I think that she sees herself as a really big ally. I think that she sort of like is researching everything she can about the LGBTQ community, and she makes a bunch of like Pride Month event videos on her YouTube channel. She asks invasive questions to her friends, like she goes up to Jim and Jam and asks them who is the top or the bottom, and they are like, we don't want to answer this, what the fuck. And she's like, but hey, I heard that every gay couple talks about tops or bottoms, so why don't you answer the question? And then eventually she realizes that maybe I want to try to kiss girls too, maybe for a fun challenge. And then she realizes that she likes it, kind of. Next character in Bia is Mora. Mora is a big lesbian and she might know it and is just like trying to date boys just to like make Carmín jealous, but it doesn't really work. But all she wants is Carmín's attention. Maybe eventually the two of them will get like locked in a closet together and like confess their feelings for each other. Like, getting locked in a closet is something that happens a lot in these shows, so it would, like, make sense in the show's canon. Now let's talk about Federico in Violetta. I cannot figure this man out. He is worse than Ramiro. I don't understand. What is with Federico? What is Federico? Is he even a human? Maybe he's a fragment of our imagination. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, I think Federico exists in some sort of space where sexuality and labels just aren't a thing. He just is. And it's anybody's guess what he is. Now, Delfi in Soy Luna, she might be the token straight of the bunch. But she might also kiss a girl and like it, you know? I don't know, that scene when they have a sleepover in the living room and she and Jazmin just like cuddle on the couch. First of all, it made me wonder what is this sapphic sleepover gathering. Second of all, it made me wonder that I think that Jazmin and Delfi like kissed at a party once and they are like, how funny, we kissed at a party. And then they refused to admit that they felt something more than just friendship feelings, you know. For now on, I'm just going to say that Delfi questions her sexuality, but she doesn't really want to explore it a lot more. She's too uncomfortable just thinking about that, because maybe she finds out something she's not ready to accept about herself. I only have one character left in Bia right now, because all the other characters I either think are straight or I just don't care. So for the remaining part of the video I will only talk about Soy Luna and Violetta characters. But the last character I want to talk about is Helena. And I think that she might be pansexual, because she just gives me the vibes that she has been experimenting and have like short relationships with both boys and girls, you know. For her, gender doesn't matter, it's the personality. Okay, so now I'm only going to do Violetta and Soy Luna characters because all the B characters are done for me. Marco in Violetta, I think is bisexual, and I don't have much to add about that. I mean, the only thing I can add is that Marco has a lot of exes apparently. Maybe one of those exes is a boy. Then we cut to Emilia in Soluna. I think Emilia is a lesbian and she just refuses to admit that about herself. She pretends that she is in love with boys to make Ámbar jealous, and when she notices that Ámbar is not jealous, she gets mad. I have said that I think that Ámbar and Emilia hooked up during the show, but I think that for Ámbar she didn't really have, you know, too much romantic feelings. It was mostly just to get some steam off. But Emilia, I think, like, fully fell in love with Ámbar and realized that she couldn't get her. In Violetta now, it's time to talk about the adults. At least some adults. If I don't mention the specific adults, it's because I don't have anything to say about them. Let's start with Angie. Angie is very much bisexual. I think Violetta inherited the bisexuality from her. Let's talk about the adults in Soluna too. I don't have much to say about Nico and Pedro because I am not sure if both of them are like gay and secretly dating or if both of them are straight, and I cannot figure that out at all, so I just I feel the same about both Nico and Pedro, so I'm just gonna mention that quickly. And then let's move on to the adults in Soluna. Not every adult, just some of the adults. And let's start with Anna. She is obviously a lesbian, and I think that might be a big part why she and Ricardo broke up, even though she claimed it was due to other reasons. And she and Mora are married now, I have decided. Literally, the show can't just make a whole plot about Anna and Nina moving into Mora's house and just being all flustered about it and claim that they're straight. Like, what? I think Gregorio in Violetta might not be so straight either. I feel like he might have like hooked up with some women due to peer pressure, but I think that he might lean more into men. No. Mora in Soluna is also a big lesbian, and she's kind of like the mentor for the younger lesbians. I feel like in that episode when Nina invited Jim and Jam over, Mora saw them and immediately like clicked that, okay, these two girls are not straight and I am going to be their mentor, especially for Jam. Like, she takes such a fondness for Jam, and it's not only because of Jam's interest in designing clothes. I think that she sees that, okay, this young girl right here, she might need some mentorship from an older lesbian like me. I feel like Ramallo is really asexual, but that might be like a bit stereotypical just because of how uncomfortable he is with Olga. He might also just be gay and just really, really not knowing how to say that. Or he has explicitly said that and Olga just does not care. Juliana in Soluna is definitely sapphic. There is no doubt about that. And she also takes a big fondness of Jam, and I don't think it's just because of her singing. I think that Juliana sees something where every older sapphic woman takes a fondness over Jam, and it's so funny. Now, I think that Jade in Violetta might be bisexual and absolutely not knowing, because I don't think she even knows what straight means. I think that she just lives her life not knowing that anything is wrong and there's stigma around not being straight. She just lives her life. And I think also that no one questions her either, because whenever she like flirts with women, people don't bat an eye because they think that that's just how Jade is. No, she's a bit quirky. Of course she's gonna flirt with women, whatever. Now, let's talk about Sharon. And I know what you're thinking. The thing is, Sharon does not really have any romance in the show. She's only shown to be in love with one man, but I don't think that necessarily means that she's straight. I think that, I mean, it's canon that she's in denial about a lot of things. And I think one of those things also is like the possibility that she might like more than one gender, but that she's not gonna dig into that because she's like far too corrupt, and that's like the lowest on her priority list like right now. The thing is, she's so anti-love in general that I think that she's just dismissing any sort of attraction she might have to anyone ever. And I think the same thing can be said about Priscilla in Violetta. Now, I think that Priscilla, she might just be straight and homophobic and a bitch, but she also might just deny that she might find women attractive a bit, and that's also why she doesn't want Ludmila to find women attractive, because she has grown up feeling that, you know, you can't have crushes on women, so only have crushes on men. Like, it's just because I had this crack ship theory where Priscilla and Sharon meet each other at the mental institution and like become roommates and bond over how much they fucked up their daughters, and then they become a couple. Could you imagine an alternate universe where Sharon and Priscilla get married and Ludmila and Ámbar like gets to be step siblings and bond over how much their mothers have fucked them up? And I mean, in that scenario, the girl that Priscilla would push down the stairs would be Luna, because her wife Sharon would be like, my niece is in my house and I don't want her to find out that she's my niece. So Priscilla's like, you got it, babe, and pushes Luna down the stairs and tries to kill her, and it's like, okay, you don't have to worry anymore. They would be so bad for each other. The world would end, because when they make their two evil heads bump together, bad things happen to the world. Okay, that was insane. There's not any more Luna character I want to talk about. Finally, I just want to mention Germán. I think that in one way I can see him as very straight. On the other hand, I can see him as sort of having like close male friendships in the past that he has sort of denied. So like, maybe if he opens up a bit more, then maybe, I don't know. But also with Germán, let's go back to Violetta being bisexual. He is so against her dating a boy that it would be so funny if Violetta is like, okay, then I'm going to date girls. And so she's just dating a girl, and Germán is like, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, that was all my sexuality headcanons. It was a long video because, you know, it's a lot of characters. What are your sexuality headcanons for these characters? You obviously don't have to talk about every single character, but if you have some sexuality if you have some sexuality headcanons, please tell me. And if you disagree with them, and if you feel like you are offended by some of my sexuality headcanons, then maybe you can ask yourself why, because it's just headcanons and it does not affect canon one bit. I am just a random girl online, and what I say means nothing in the grand scheme of things. So take a chill pill. Take care, enjoy your Pride Month, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.